Glad to welcome in Missouri S&T, the GLVC Sports Network, and our live coverage of the 2015 GLVC Football Kickoff continues. Our fourth school is indeed the Miners of S&T. They were just picked to finish sixth in the conference this season. The Miners 4-7 last season and 3-5 in league play. Joining us today at the table is head coach Tyler Fenwick. Welcome, Coach. Sophomore quarterback Lamar Wilkes is with us as well, and junior linebacker Rob Sidlick. Gentlemen, welcome to our press conference. And Coach, we'll start with you, if you would please talk a little bit about getting underway here in the 2015 season.
Well, I think I think everybody's anxious to get started. I think our program right now is at a place where we've got a lot of young and inexperienced players. So I'm excited to get back out on the field and get going with these guys and just get them on the field and get them reps. And the competition is going to be great because we have so many, defensively we lost so many guys. So there's a lot of positions open. Offensively, we're still young. We were young last year, but we're still young. And so that's just kind of where we're at. So it's exciting to get going.
You have a young quarterback sitting right next to you, so let's talk a little bit about offense, where 5 starters return. How about that minor offense? Where does that fit in here, and what's the experience level there?
It's better than it was last year. Lamar's got a year under his belt, starting 8 games last year. We've got some offensive linemen that were freshmen last year. I think we started 3 freshmen at some point, redshirt freshmen. And so they've got game experience. And I think what we've learned more than anything is there's no substitute for experience. And so we, hopefully we got all those young mistakes out of the way. And but I think we can have a pretty talented offensive group, with just the guys that we got back. And I think we got some pretty good receivers that can do some things. Spencer Elrod is a big play guy. We brought in a transfer, Jacques Harris, who's a good-sized kid that can run, and Braxton Graham. So there's a lot of talent around to get the offense moving. And honestly, if the quarterback play goes the way we want it to, then I think it's going to click.
Okay, former freshman quarterback, now a sophomore quarterback. Let's talk about you a little bit. You threw for nearly 1,000 yards last year and found the end zone 6 different times. But now as a sophomore, you hear quarterbacks talking about the game slowing down a lot. Is that kind of what you hope to experience this year?
Yeah, it actually slowed down a lot during spring ball. I was getting thrown a lot at me during the fall season, and during spring ball, everything just kind of started making sense. Started getting like tighter brotherhoods with my teammates. So we kind of got on the same page, but it did eventually take a little bit longer than we expected.
Are you a leader on offense?
I do. I personally think I am. We could ask Coach Fenwick what he thinks about that. But, yeah, I think people look up to me for, leadership and stuff. When we're all down, I'm the one that's getting looked at. Even though I'm, personally myself, I might look for someone else. And I might find that person in Coach.
Right.
But, sometimes you got to be that guy, and I think that guy's me. Well,
yeah, and as a sophomore, a lot of good things in front of you, I'm sure. Coach, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball with just 2 starters back. Talk about the rebuilding efforts of the minor defense and who you might see stepping up into those leadership roles, please.
Yeah, we did take a big hit defensively, but I think there's a lot of young, good talent. On the defensive line, I think you got guys like Andrew Troutman, who's been a backup, but he's very much ready to play. He's great shape, great weight room guy, leadership skills. He's got all the things. He's very explosive. Andrew Masters is another one on the defensive line that has put on really good weight and understands the defense, and again, good leadership. So so from that standpoint on the defensive line, that's where it's going to have to come from is the young guys. In the secondary, Kalen King's going to have to step up. He's got some game reps at corner, but we also brought in some transfers, and so it's a lot of question marks whether those guys can adapt to what we're doing schematically and get fit in with the chemistry of the team, and so there's a lot of things that we're going to find out coming up in fall camp.
Rob, you're a young player, a junior this year, but one of the veterans of the group, 23 tackles last year, 2 for losses. What are some key things in your mind about the defense this year?
With our defense, I think, like Coach said, we have a lot of young talent, and we got a lot of we're a pretty tight group on our defense, which I think is going to help us a lot because we got a lot of kids that can play football and they're good football players. We just need to come together and just get the job done, do what Coach tells us to do because they're going to tell us the right thing to do. So we got young guys and we come together and we just play for each other and play hard. I think we got some good talent. We also have Joseph Jurek coming back on the D line. He's a nose guard and he's going to be a really solid run stopper for us too. And Dylan Bowman got some game experience at Mike linebacker, and he's going to have a pretty good year for us, I feel like. So as long as we play for each other and all come together on defense, I think we'll be a pretty solid group.
Okay, Rob, thank you. Coach, let's move along and talk about your special teams this year. What's your view of them going into the season?
Well, Nolan Menino was our kicker last year, and he was a little sporadic, but he was a freshman, getting used to the college game, and he was kind of more of a punter in high school. But he's really come along. He's strengthened his leg. His accuracy has gotten better. So we're looking to see what he can do. We might even, we're going to let him do some punting in fall camp and see where we're at with that. And then we signed Taylor Middlebrooks, who would be an incoming freshman, but he's got a huge leg. He's done it all. He kicks off. He's long distance field goals. He's a punter, and he's very athletic as well. So anxious to get him in and see what's going on. The return game, I think Spencer Elrod is as dynamic as it gets. Kickoff return against Midwestern State last year, huge play. He's got a lot of shift to him. Braxton Graham's another kid that can help us in the return game, very similar. So I think we've got some explosive guys that can help us and make some things happen in that regard.
All right, let's talk about your schedule. Chadron State leads it off for you at home. Then you go to Texas A&M Kingville, and then you open up the GLVC Conference with 3 of the 4 teams that tied for second last year. What's your take on your opening schedule? How do you prepare for that kind of start?
You got to take it one game at a time. I mean, the first thing is we're going to prepare for Chadron State. We've played them the last 2 years to open up, so we've got a pretty good idea of what they're all about. Kingsville is going to be, a game that we're not real sure about. They've got a new staff. It's a long road game, and then we get right into Truman. Truman's a tough battle. They do a great job preparing their kids. They play hard. They're tough. So I don't know. I don't know that there's anything special as far as preparing for your season. It is what it is, and you got to. You got to go to work in fall camp, and hopefully our kids are, going to come in prepared, in shape, and then we can build from there.
Lamar, Coach Fenwick, Rob, thank you so much for joining us here at the GLVC Sports Network. Best of luck as your season opens up. And fans, don't go anywhere after we take a short break. The Quincy Hawks will be entering the room, and we'll talk football with them. That is next right here on the GLVC Sports Network, where champions are crowned.